Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moonride. This is Dave Johnson, and I am here with TarotSoulWriter, otherwise known as Kerri O'Donnell. And so many great questions that I have for you. The first one is how you work, because I think you work in quite a very specific way.
I do. And I just want to say thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure being here. How I work is a combination of, I guess you would say, modalities or tools in order to get psychic information. So I started as a straight up tarot card reader, and I always wrote and journaled. And after a little bit of time, I realized that I got a lot of psychic information without the cards just through journaling. It would be one of those things you look back on your writing and you started to see another voice or something that felt like it was wiser than you, that was coming through the writing. Like, I didn't think that. I'm a hot mess and this is pretty wise, that kind of thing. So I started to put it together, and I would begin to put out cards on questions, and I would sit and journal. And I know I don't tell many people this, but music is a huge part of my process. I use a lot of like beta, theta kind of music, the binary beats, to try to get into a trance state. It just really works for me. And then I began writing, and I start with questions on the page. I might put out cards and I write. And I was just saying to you that it's a messy process, because I might have something like pages and pages of just gobbledygook and crossouts, because when I'm writing that way and things are coming through, I might see something in my mind's eye, or I might hear something, or I've even been pushed to open a book. I know that sounds straight. And look on page 33, and it's a quote that fits perfectly. So I write it down. So there are a lot of different pieces of information that are coming through. And then if it's a really important reading, a lot of times I will just give it a little time, let it sit for a while, go back, and then I might organize it in a way that the messages make sense. But I do readings like this for clients, where we're just doing card readings, and I've done a pre-session of messages that have come through for their guides. And so I guess it's my own unique way of channeling, really. I mean, that's what I'm doing now. But I just don't, it's the way I can get into it. This is my my little cheat way of getting into that space where I can do this. And I always say, if it works, let's just go with it. So that's where I am right now. And it seems to work really well for me.
Terrific. Now, I know that before this session, you really did contact your guides and get some kind of
I
pre-writing.
did.
Tell
I
us
did.
what you discovered.
Well, first, is it okay that I talk about my guides and
Sure,
how I see
absolutely.
them?
Yeah.
So I call my guides the choir. They present to me in a group. I feel like there's 7 of them when they come forward. It looks like to me in my head that they come through with robes, and that's why I gave them the nickname the choir. I don't see their faces. It seems like it's just light, but they do come through collectively. And that's why I've been told, we had a discussion about that earlier, like, do we know individually? And people have done readings for me and they might have pointed to certain things, but I don't even think that that's the point. I think it's the point that they come in collectively for me. And I'm okay with that. Now, I did do a soul writing session before our interview. So there were a lot of things that came up. So I don't know if you want to talk about anything specifically, but the first thing they wanted to talk about was just where we were energetically. And they did have some advice for how we should all, and I feel like they're pointing to the people who would watch this video. So usually the people who watch this video are more attuned, they're more spiritual, energetically, they have certain roles. And I feel like they were targeting that audience and
Right.
things that they need to do to kind of move through the energy of this period. So,
Yeah.
so where should we start with that? Did you
Yeah.
want to talk about anything specific, or?
Well, I know that we spoke a little bit about one of the purposes of this program is that it's all been so stressful for the past few years. And, if we get really attached to these social political events, it is just a roller coaster. And I think people are fairly exhausted. I'm
Yeah,
trying to achieve a little bit more of a baseline of calm, just so that we can keep going. Anything that
right.
speaks to that, and I know they do, would be useful.
Yeah, well, let's just talk, if it's okay, I'm going to read the beginning here because they started with what is happening, like what is going on energetically out there. We need to understand. And they said, you are coming to the end of a period of conflict and strife. You are breaking through to a new level of human experience. You are all transitioning. Difficulties will soon be behind you. You are here to restore harmony and foster mental tranquility with others. Many of you will shift geographical locations at this time. As the energy of the planet shifts, some of you will also be moving. I think that was repeated, but they said it again. Shift with the energy, surrender to the movement. So there was definitely something about movement there, which I thought was kind of interesting because I have come across, I don't know if you have, Dave, but I have come across a lot of clients who have moved or are planning to move. In fact, the last couple of months, I've been doing quite a few readings for people in which that has been a common theme.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
It is. It's true. Tons of people that like that's the second question on everybody's list is should I move and where?
Yeah,
It seems that the viewers often are calling me and saying, I just quit my job and I'm moving in this particular direction. It's crazy that I'm like changing my job career at 60. And I'm like, yeah, you're the 100th caller to say that, 100th client to say that something is changing and people are changing their jobs at
right.
locations. Mm.
And that must be the transitioning, because they said you are all transitioning. Yes, we are transitioning spiritually. I'm sure they meant that, but I feel like these transitions can be within our own lives as well. Like you said, the change in job, a shift that something doesn't resonate with you anymore. And they had some advice for how to deal with this crazy energy, because they did say we were coming to the end of a period of conflict and strife. So that could be this political situation that we're in. Maybe there are going to be some happenings to bring some conclusions to some things that are really frightening people. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy energy to move through.
Mhm.
So one thing they said for advice, and this goes to how can we have more balance in our lives and with our energy. And they said the first thing is to refuse to play mind games with others. Always seek to diffuse hostile or conflicting situations. Turn down the heat. So they
Mhm.
actually showed me a flame. It's like, okay, when it's hot, your job is to make it cool. Diffuse volatile situations by not engaging in them. Sometimes you can't be uninvolved. So they actually brought that up because I know there are people out there who would be like, sometimes I just have to deal with something. They actually said there are saboteurs and chaos makers. During these times, you may have internal conflicts, internal turmoil around deciding how to deal with these situations. Do I open up for discussion? But I don't want to create more controversy. What are my priorities? Remember, escalation leads to exhaustion. Work with groups that hold positive intentions and help you alleviate stress. Like fighting infection, you are the antibodies. You are psychic self-defense. So that was like the beginning. I think that was really to people who were psychic, who were healers.
Mhm.
That this was going to be an important time. I was kind of struck by the fact that there's a virus out there and you're the antibodies. So it's
Yes,
like it's like you're the healers, right? You're trying to kind of clear up the mess out there.
that's a great metaphor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of late, I have been a little less righteous. I'm quite a righteous person, and I will, really go to Matt for certain issues. I'm a little bit like, you probably won't change his mind, but a joke might help. If I could say a neutral joke,
Yeah.
and then if that person laughs, maybe I'll get someplace, or at least they'll say, well, he's not so bad, right?
What's funny you said about a joke, because if you watch my channel, and this is a very controversial thing apparently, is I discuss very serious, sometimes heartbreaking things, and I use humor to kind of break it up. And so you have two camps that watch my video. One camp will say, I love this, because I can watch your video and laugh a little bit and kind of just like, I know this is serious, but I'm okay. And then the other camp is like, why aren't you taking this serious? Why aren't you discussing this seriously? This is serious business. What's wrong with you? They hate it. And I kind of understand, but humor is a way for me, I guess, like they said, to de-escalate, to bring down the fire or the flame, because humor kind of breaks it up. You don't feel as stressed. You don't take it so seriously. And it is serious. I don't want to say it's not serious. The things that are happening are very serious. But sometimes you just, I don't know, have to relax, I guess. And just, that's part of the messages here too. You just got to let this flow.
Right, right. We cannot maintain this level of stress forever. It's just
Right.
simply
You
not
just,
practical. We just can't live like that. So
no, you can't.
I think it's fair that people are serious. I also think it's fair that we use any strategy we can to lower the volume, especially with others. And let's face it, if you make that joke with your crazy uncle, afterwards he will think better of you, and the group of people will think better of you for being able to elevate that in that way. I don't think we should shy away from serious topics, but if we can make a joke about those serious topics, we can still speak our truth. This is not
Exactly.
something I am like expert at all. It is just something that I am beginning to attempt. So good luck. I know it'll work.
And you're going to get better at it, because that was one of their whole messages here about, this is not the time for taking extravagant risks or going to extremes. And I wanted to read this one section. It was about holding center. You are here to hold center right now in this moment. It says, many of you have a very, very energetic spirit. You need to be free, or you need to dance to the beat of your own drum, but they said, this is a time for restraint. And for some of you, even sacrifice. Continue to hold center. They kept repeating that. Acknowledge your inner child who wants to cry and scream and laugh joyously, or even rebel. And they said, tame that child like a loving parent, that inner child. And then I heard id, ego, superego. So I kept thinking that inner child was the id, right? And we can't get into that super ego, judgmental kind of spot. We need to be in the center. I don't know what the future will bring, which creates unease and anxiety, but they said maintain your center. Distance yourself from others if needed to regain and maintain equanimity. So there is just this sense that we are here to hold space. That's what I kind of got, that this is going to be an important time to do that. So it feels like kind of, I don't know how I felt about that, to be honest, because part of me is like, well, that's a big responsibility. Maybe I want to be the inner child who runs and screams and rebels and laughs joyously. Why do I have to hold space? So there's a little, see, I'm already rebelling. They were definitely talking to me, for sure. But I think that is a message not just for me, but for maybe many people who are struggling with our role as well in these times.
Terrific. That's a great comment. Well, we also definitely want to talk about how you do your work, because I know that you have classes. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, I have tarot soul writing classes, and basically I try to keep my groups small, so they're capped at 10. And each evening that we have a class, we start with a little tip and trick to help with the soul writing or channeling process. We always talk about things like protection and so forth in every class, but I try to switch things up a little for each group. And then we do what I call a quick write, something that's fun. It usually has a certain theme. We get to know each other in small groups. we get to dip our hands in with the cards and the writing. And then, because ahead of time, I have the class submit questions, either personal, spiritual, or political / current event questions. I put them in a box. I call my big box, and I pick one. And yeah, we read for each other in the last segment of the class. We dive in and we learn the process by doing it. And then we talk in small groups, we talk in a large group, everyone gets read, we talk about the process. And I think it's been pretty successful. So far, I think people have enjoyed the process. I just have to tell you one story. There was a woman in my class, and she had asked a question, and she was sort of struggling with some of her role as a spiritual person and a healer, and some of her own abilities. And so she had asked a question about this process because she was struggling with something. And then we had to move on to choose the question. So I was like, okay, we're ready to read for each other. Pick the question. Whose question comes up? It was hers. And she just was like, I'm going to laugh. It was basically everyone was going to read on the problem that she had brought up in the group. And she said, I guess spirit thought I needed a little extra help. So all of those like weird synchronicities seem to happen. Like I can tell you story after story, but it's really interesting that once you're attuned and you just know that they're there to give you the message that you all need.
Yeah, yeah. I found that very true with our meeting. We kept getting these
Yeah,
crazy coincidences.
I know. Oh, wait, can I tell that story?
Sure, you can.
This was another story. This happened right before Dave called me. Well, not called me, wrote and said, hey, do you want to do this? And you didn't phrase it as, let's discuss it about how to stay balanced, didn't you? You phrased it differently,
Oh,
like
differently.
about like our energy or, something like that. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. Yeah, I'll do that. Right after that, I had a reading with a client, and it was a difficult reading because this particular person was going through a very difficult and traumatic time. We finished the reading, and she was very grateful. And she asked me, is there something I can do for you energetically? And I didn't understand what she meant, because nobody has ever asked what they could do for me after reading, because money was exchanged. We had an equal energy exchange. I thought, we're square. But she's like, no, I want to do something, like pray on your behalf or do some energy work on you or such. Is there something you want to work on? And I said, well, balance. I really want to work on balance in my life, balancing my home life and my spiritual life. And there's so many things I want to get done, but I feel like time is fleeting and I just can't get everything done in one day. I would really like some help with balance. She said, I'm going to pray on your behalf about balance. We said our goodbyes. I never thought I'd hear from her again or that this would ever come up until Dave Johnson gets me an email and phrases the question, maybe we should investigate the question, how do you stay balanced? This is like 4 days after the reading. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, are you kidding me? So again, spirit's just like playing
It's
with me
great.
here.
It's great when that happens, when things just roll out for you like that. Now, we were also talking about one other thing, which is just, I'm just gonna get a session from you and tell you, because I'm having some knee problems.
Ah,
Specifically my right one. And you're gonna do cards on this, right?
yeah, I'm gonna do cards, and if something comes through, I'll write it down.
Sounds
So
good.
you're having problems with your, I'm sorry, what side was it again?
Both knees, especially the right.
Especially the right.
Yeah.
I already heard something right away, but let's see if the cards kind of match with that. Right knee. All right. I don't I don't know how to explain this. Okay, so there's an interference, like I almost want to say this, I don't know anything about biology, so I'm like thinking like there's something almost, I don't want to say bone on bone, but I feel like something is rubbing in your knee that like there's no liquid. Like I feel like there's supposed to be something that lubricates when two things are there, but there's nothing that's lubricating something. Like that's
Yep.
kind of how I'm feeling this. And
100.
then I got the word inflammation. So maybe because of what's happening here, there might be some sort of inflammation around the area. Does this make sense to you?
100% accurate. You are
Okay,
perfectly accurate. Yeah.
okay. And I'm getting that mostly from the cards. I had the Eight of Wands is reversed, which for me is about interference. I was really struck by the wands. This is just so people can understand how my mind works sometimes. So you had like the wands, and all I can think of was something was interfering, something was like shooting in where it shouldn't be. And then when I got the Ace of Cups reversed, it was like an absence of liquid or something that lubricated it. And then I heard the word inflammation. So
Mm.
like I'm putting that all together. So when I would do a soul writing session, if we were going to go deep dive into like say Dave's health, then I would probably do like a whole like hour meditation, kind of like going through the different areas of the body and writing down what they would say. But that's like just a little tidbit.
100% accurate. That was 100% accurate. Does it give any advice? Does spirit tell me what to do about this? I'm not sure. I might just have to have an operation, but I'd love
All
to
right.
avoid it if possible. Spirit.
All right, let's get advice for David. What does he need to do?
And if it tells me to stop whining, I'm okay with that.
I almost feel like you're not going to do something right away. I'm getting my postponement card or delays,
Yep.
and there's a reason for it. The first thing is um, I'm getting like a lot of up and down energy around you in the coming period. And so it's almost like I would say either Dave's too busy to kind of like really focus on this, is kind of how I'm saying, because it's like I have to be here, I have to do this, I have to do that. We have this plan. Like I feel like there's a lot of up and down energy, which is kind of getting in the way. There might also be something with your spouse. There's some relationship issue there, like as far as coordinating something. So I feel like something is mismatched that I kind of feel coming up. And then I get, it might even have to do with the medical community, because whoever you go to, I actually get like two opinions and they're saying they're on two sides of a fence. Like you get like two opinions, like you could do this. And then the other opinion is like, you could do that, but they're not even close. Like you're like, okay, so what really is the solution for this? I just want to ask again, like, because they're telling me the situation and they're basically saying you're in suspended animation. Basically, you're kind of just like stuck there. They're not saying do this or do that. Let me just ask one more time.
Really accurate. It's really accurate. I'll just tell
Yeah,
everybody I'm going to Europe for 6 weeks and a month. So I'm concerned about this, but I can't really totally address it. And yeah, it's going to be complicated. We're in many different places in Europe. So
I will tell you this, in the last reading, the last set of cards, when I was trying to like figure out what was wrong, a woman was there at the end. There was like a woman who would have some sort of wise advice for you. So I'm going to assume she's part of the medical community. But I'm getting her again here when I was just trying to get some specific cards on her. And she's bringing something to light.
mhm.
Um, I do feel like it's funny. I'm not getting surgery for some reason though. I don't know if that was like you were thinking, well, see, again, I'm medical, but maybe that's the only solution. I don't know, but I'm not getting that. And I'm wondering if the woman is going to give you some sort of an alternative path, because they're like, I get her bringing something to light, like bringing new information, bringing something. And there's, yeah, it's a new beginning around your home. Why are they saying that? A new beginning around your home with your need. Do you have trouble getting around your home? Because there's something with like this thing that's brought to light fixes something where you're happier around your home or something to that effect.
I
I don't know what that means,
I
but
just moved to a great house near the beach, so that's one of the things that it really has just shifted everything in my life. Just so many
okay.
things. And the woman that you're seeing is a friend of mine, a kinesthesiologist who I'm going to see in Hungary, and she's my sort of adopted sister, right? And
Okay.
she's already started. Yeah, that was fantastic, especially the no operation news. I'm really happy.
I'm just not getting it. So
Right on.
I'm just
Right.
it's not even, yeah. So I'm just gonna assume it's a no on the surgery.
You guys, I have to totally recommend. I've never had a reading from Kerri before, but it was awesome. That was just like what I would happily pay for. And you did it live. Well done. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate all the things that you've told us today. If you guys want to get a hold of her again, TarotSoulWriter.com, or you can just check out Kerri O'Donnell on her YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much for watching.